If you are not very familiar with sports car racing, specifically the North American variety, you may not know that this man is Wayne Taylor. And these two similar looking guys are his sons, Ricky and Jordan. And they are perhaps best known for their association with this car, which could be heard in my intro thing. Between the three men, they have 2 class victories from Le Mans, 7 Rolexes from Daytona, and 9 championships from the top flights of sports car racing. The amount of success this family has had as both drivers and team owners make them a modern motorsports dynasty in their respective series. However, it seems like the family is not best known for its winning ways, but more for the unique personalities it contains. And now, in true sports car endurance racing fashion, I'll be putting both brothers into this one video. So, do the transition for me, Jordan. Thanks. Context for that clip later, but for now, let us start at the basics. Ricky Scott Taylor and the younger brother Jordan Lee Taylor grew up and still live around Orlando in the U.S. state of Florida. Yes, they are certified Florida men. Jordan was born in Altamont Springs, Florida on the 10th of May, 1991. Ricky, however, was born on the 3rd of August in 1989 in Surrey, England. To know why Ricky was born in the UK, one would have to follow the trail of their parents, Wayne and Shelley Taylor. Wayne Taylor was born the 15th of July 1956 in Gqeberha, South Africa, formerly known as Port Elizabeth. Wayne did not grow up in a wealthy family, but wanted to be a race car driver as long as he can remember. He worked independently to secure funding for his own racing career by putting emphasis on good business etiquette in proposals. Now I have enough information about Wayne to make a video just about him, so this is a short version of his career. Started in the early 1980s racing single-seaters and sports cars in South Africa, became the 1986 South African National Drivers' Champion by winning the South African Formula 2 Series, decided his dream of Formula 1 was too financially unrealistic and would focus on sports cars. Finished 4th overall in his 1987 debut in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. He would try 14 times in this race and get a class win in 1998. Moved to London, UK in 1989 to pursue the FIA World Sports Car Championship full-time. Ricky was born here. Moved back to South Africa at the end of the 89 season and was contacted by Pratt & Miller Engineering to race for General Motors, spearheading the Intrepid program. Moved to Florida in 1990, where Jordan was born. Won the American Sports Car Championship in 1994, 96, and 2005, and would win the 24 Hours of Daytona in 1996 and 2005. In 2002, he would retire from competition and become a much bigger influence on his children's desire to become race car drivers. Prior to this, he mostly wanted to teach his sons how to write a proper sponsor proposal like he had to do in his own career. Even when his sons started taking racing seriously, he was not big on giving advice, but would instead defer to his friends such as Jan Magnussen or Max Angelali. Max would often give the boys lessons about different aspects of racing at their home. Wayne would come out of retirement and partner Bob Riley to form the SunTrust Racing Team in 2004. After splitting with Bob Riley, he and Max would form Wayne Taylor Racing in 2007. After 2008, Wayne would only do endurance races until 2010, where he would retire again. Until 2014, where he would partner Max Angelali and his 2 sons in their own car for a final 24 Hours of Daytona, where they would finish 2nd overall. As team owner, he would win 2 championships and 4 24 Hours of Daytona. And in 2019, Wayne was inducted into the South African Hall of Fame for his outstanding reputation. He's often described as a kind man, but very meticulous and detail-oriented. Wayne has said he wants to be the best presented team even compared to factory teams. That aside, he says he is extremely proud when his sons get offered seats at big teams, as it shows to everyone they are desirable because of their own skill and effort. Stories describe how he can be caught watching the teams his sons drive for on pit box monitors instead of focusing solely on his own team all the time. No one really minds, however. Who is going to tell the boss to stop being a dad? And alongside Wayne is Shelley Taylor. The mother of the Taylors is also from South Africa and moved with Wayne from SA to the UK to the USA. When compared with their father, the boys describe their mother as more relaxed and essential for keeping everyone calm and not stressing about racing in their personal lives. Shelley has described herself saying she's not a mother who knows all the statistics, but is heavily invested on what happens on the track. When her men are racing together, it is much easier to focus and share the victory of winning, but the despair of losing is tripled. In contrast, when they race on different teams, it's impossible to root for one over the other, so she just hopes they all do their best. It was also thanks to Shelley that the brothers had their first racing experiences. While their father was busy competing, their mother would take them to go-kart races, school events, or other sporting activities. If you ask the boys how each parent influenced their interest in racing at an early age, they say their father made it seem less fun than their mother. Like any average Floridian children, they studied in school, played in their free time, and even found themselves wrapped up in mischief. But when recounting their childhood, the Taylor brothers seem to agree that the younger brother Jordan was the more mischievous of the pair. Ricky tells stories of how the two brothers would get into a fight, and Jordan would usually win by biting Ricky, and then be yelled at by their mother. When asked about playing games and participating in sports with each other, Ricky says he usually let Jordan win. I can only assume to avoid being bit. And if you go searching for any interviews and podcasts featuring the Taylor brothers, you can hear stories of Jordan introducing the wet willy to his school, or relieving himself from their bedroom trash can as a type of vengeance against his mother, or another story I won't explain in detail but simply refer to as the poop sock incident. These unique stories aside, the boys were not irregularly unruly or problematic. As a matter of fact, they were described by their parents and each other as pretty quiet. Jordan would recall hating school. He didn't particularly love studying, but he would spend a lot of time alone. He even remembers saying he wanted to be involved in construction while growing up. The school experience for older brother Ricky was a bit different. Ricky Taylor recalls loving math and wanting to become an engineer someday, but says unfortunately, math did not love him back. He wasn't very good at math. I think his second career option turned out pretty well, though. Due to how their father Wayne was trying to get them to write the proper business proposal, they weren't very keen on becoming racing drivers while young. They would go to the races, watch their father win, go home and play soccer. They would do a little bit of karting. Ricky was around age 12 and Jordan was around age 10. They had one go-kart to share between them. Their mother would take them to a race or so a month and they would alternate who drove each race. It was fun, but it wasn't a lifelong goal. The brothers' interest in racing started to increase when their father retired from competition for the first time. Him being around to race with them and give them tips and hints helped them find more joy in the hobby. Ricky Taylor began karting with a 100cc Yamaha kart in the year 2000 around the age of 11. In 2001, he would win the Yamaha Central Florida Championship. This title included a 6-hour and 3-hour karting event. The year 2002 would see the Taylors win the inaugural 24 Hours of Ocala karting endurance event. Ricky would have the fastest single lap record on the track, even faster than that of his father Wayne. Ricky would win another Yamaha Central Florida Championship in 2003. And as a reference to his successes in karting, Ricky was reportedly considered by the Red Bull driver search in 2004, but nothing long-term came from this selection. In the 2005 Florida Winter Tour in the Rotax Senior Division, Ricky would finish in the top half of the field in most of the events of the championship. During this time, he drove a less than popular Brazilian kart mini chassis. Younger brother Jordan would offer the unfamiliarity with this chassis as some explanation of why they were not stronger in karting at this phase in their careers. But in January of 2006, Ricky would participate in the Skip Barber Karting Scholarship Shootout at Sebring International Raceway, beating 57 other racers to finish second overall. Finishing second would land him a fully paid seat for the 12 races of the Skip Barber Southern Regional Series, where he would finish fourth in the championship with 2 race wins and 8 podiums. Ricky would also compete in the Kart Mini America ICA Florida Winter Tour, finishing 5th in the standing. During the same year, at age 17, Ricky would make his Formula Star Mazda debut, filling in for an injured John Pugh at Raceway Road Atlanta. Moving into the year 2007 would see Ricky winning the championship in the Skip Barber Southern Regional Series with 6 wins and 11 podiums in 12 races. The elder Taylor brother would also compete in a variety of karting events, F2000 events. He would also compete in the 2007 Skip Barber Nationals, netting 2 race wins in 14 races, finishing second in the point standings. The year 2008 would see him finally making the transition to racing sports car prototypes. He would make 2 starts in the IMSA Light Series, winning one of these races. But more importantly, he would become co-driver with his father alongside full-time drivers Max Angelali and Michael Valiante for his father's SunTrust Racing team in his first Daytona 24 Hours. In interviews since this time, Ricky has said in his own words that he was 18 and not ready for it. He shouldn't have been there. This iteration of the 24 Hours of Daytona featured a lot of rain. Ricky would complete his minimum drive time in the drier periods. During the season, he would complete another race in prototypes for Bayer Racing and a further 6 more races for Doran Racing. The year 2009 would see Bayer Racing announce its first full-time season of competition in the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series, with Ricky as one of its full-time drivers, officially cementing the start of his career in the top leagues of American sports car racing. However, alongside Ricky making his nearly full-time debut was also his younger brother Jordan. So how did younger brother Jordan get here so fast? While technically not a full-time driver, he would compete in 8 of the 12 races that year, which at age 17 is still very impressive. Much like his brother, it all began in karting. When first starting out, it would take Jordan a very long time to get acclimated to the track. This is when his family learned he needed glasses. He was trying to race karts and could barely see. Upon receiving his specs, he would begin to improve. In 2002, he would share the victory at the inaugural 24 Hours of Ocala with his father and brother, but past this, Jordan says his karting experience was nothing to brag about. He partially blames this on the unfamiliarity of their kart mini chassis, but in interviews since becoming a professional racer, he says when returning to karting events for fun or for charity, he's still not that great at karting. It just doesn't work for him. That being said, in the year 2005, he did finish third in the Florida Winter Tour in the Rotax Junior Series with a couple podium finishes. The year after, he would finish 6th in the Florida Winter Tour Junior ICA and would get a pole position at the Newcastle Kart Track in the Stars of Karting Series. The year 2007 would see Jordan's first big break in his junior career. He would attend the Skip Barber Racing School, taking the 3-day class at Sebring International Modified Course, moved on to the 2-day advanced class at the Daytona Raceway, and he says jokingly that he's the reason why they added how to use the clutch to the course curriculum. Upon getting into the car, he claims he was unable to leave the pits for over 10 minutes because he'd never used a clutch before while in karting. He would, however, graduate to the Skip Barber Karting Shootout Scholarship Race, and much like his brother, would finish 2nd overall, securing $25,000 as scholarship money in the offer to compete in the Skip Barber season as a whole. Jordan says this is where he finally felt confident while racing, and he would show this confidence by taking first in the Skip Barber Eastern Regional Series in 2007 with 4 victories and 10 podiums in 12-race calendar. At the end of the 2007 year, Jordan would partner longtime friend and karting rival Mark Jensen and make his car racing debut in the Grand Am Coney Challenge at the final race of the season at the Virginia International Raceway. The following year, Jordan would make his first start in the Grand Am Rolex Series at age 16, driving a Porsche GT3 Cup at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. This car was fielded and co-driven by a friend of Jordan and his friend's father. While sitting in the Porsche before the race, Jordan's father, Wayne Taylor, came by on the way to his own car, leaned in the window and told him, "You're not ready for this," shaking his head and walking off. Jordan said it was a terrifying experience. They would end up finishing 15th in class. He would make another start in the GT field later that year at New Jersey Motorsports Park and make his prototype debut in July, driving for Bayer Racing at the Daytona Sprint Race. During the same year, he would make 4 starts in the F2000 Championship Series, getting a win and 2 poles, all at Road Atlanta. Rounding off the year, he would get another win at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with only 4 starts in the IMSA Lights competition. And this brings us back to 2009. As Ricky was making his full-time Rolex Series debut with Bayer Racing, Jordan would compete in 8 of the 12 races that year with the same team. He would also complete 1 race in the GT class, driving for Racers Edge Motorsport. But the year 2010 would finally see Jordan racing full-time in the GT Series, running 11 races for Racers Edge Motorsports team. In 7 qualifying attempts, Jordan would put it on the front row 7 times, 3 of which being pole positions. It's important to notice that the brothers made it through the junior categories based on their results and made their full-time debuts in teams not owned by their father. Being second generation has given them a myriad of advantages: helpful hints and driving advice from some of the sport's best, knowledge of how to make connections in business and what paths to pursue, and already having a well-known name. But this last one can also be a con. Ricky and Jordan did not need to make a name for themselves. Everyone was already watching. Some people would say they only made it to where they were because of their father, and that drives them to be extremely focused and hardworking when it comes to perfecting their craft. They want to prove they belong because of their own talent, and is something that has led them to pursue offers from teams like Penske or Corvette Racing throughout their career. Another thing that they are known for are their personalities shown through social media. Jordan specifically likes to give the fans a look into their lives so people can see they're just normal guys. They like to have fun, joke around, and not take themselves too seriously. And that's where clips like these can be found. The brothers, along with some of their fellow sports car driving friends, have made a variety of parody music videos with a racing theme. And that's where I finally answer the relevance to the hint from the last video. These clothes are a trademark outfit of Rodney Sandstorm. Sandstorm is a joke alter ego of Jordan Taylor, which he formed after partnering with NASCAR star Jeff Gordon in the 2017 Daytona 24. Rodney is a parody version of a 1990s Jeff Gordon superfan. He has his own social media presence and can be seen making appearances at racing events all across the country. Even other drivers get in on the Rodney Sandstorm fun. Jordan says this fun persona pushes him to be even more surgical on track. He wants to show people that he's not just a goof, but he can be nice and fun off the track and serious and aggressive on the track. While it may seem apparent that Jordan is the more outgoing or goofy one, he actually says he feels disappointed when fans meet him and they realize that he's not naturally sociable or funny. The same goes for Ricky, who often gets credit for social media antics while not being the mastermind behind the plans. Ricky has his own brand of sarcastic humor. During the 2012 Aussie V8 Supercars Gold Coast 600, he was invited to be the international driver for Gary Rogers Motorsports. An incident on the starting grid resulted in this spectacular crash. When asked about his experience after the race, he said it was rather uneventful, kinda saw the sky a couple different times. Admittedly, Ricky says he is the more aggressive driver of the two brothers. He is more likely to go for a move that may be not so smart from the outside. This aggression has led to controversial moments during his career, but this also makes him a good finisher for endurance races. He's not afraid to stick his elbows out for the final position.
This is the cool down lap with Ricky and Jordan Taylor.
Keep it cool.
If you listen to certain groups of fans from various series across motorsports, many complain saying modern drivers lack the personality of their childhood heroes. However, I often wonder if they just really want unbridled aggression. And if you want someone that is standoffish and aggressive both on the track and off the track, then I probably wouldn't recommend the Taylors. But as far as personality is concerned, the Taylor family as a whole is a cast of characters. They are a pair of modern drivers with ample personality and kindness. They show they are normal guys who can make fun of themselves and have a good time, but then go on to win countless championships and trophies. While being pretty young and still in the prime of their careers, both brothers are happy to be racing in the discipline of sports cars. However, they want to keep raising the bar. While they have had certain experience in major international races and class wins at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, they too aspire for an opportunity to achieve an overall win at Le Mans. Much like their father before them tried so many times, the brothers would like to add a new Rolex to the family collection. Meanwhile, they will continue to hunt for the domination in the IMSA Sports Car Championship. So, in this video, I only really scratched the surface of information about the Taylor family as a whole. If you're interested in more information or more wacky stories, search for any of the Taylors on the Marshall Pruitt podcast, the Dell Jr. Download, the Dinner with Racers podcast, or any archive of radio interviews with the Taylors to hear more interesting stories. But for now, I promise I'm done talking about the Taylors. Now, hints for the topic of the next video, and hopefully this isn't too obvious, but this driver has experience in multiple levels of rallycross, V8 supercars, junior open-wheeled racing, multiple levels of sports car racing, and multiple levels of stock car racing. So be sure to guess who you think the next video will be about, and I'll see you next time on Driver Profiles.